Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something huge. How do we feed a world that's increasingly living in cities? It feels like a paradox, right?
It really is. It's one of the big questions for sustainability. We're digging into some fascinating research today, specifically material presented by Jose Hernandez Duran.
Okay.
It looks at why small-scale food growing in and around cities is not just necessary, but also, perhaps surprisingly, really popular.
And the necessity part, that's driven by a massive shift in where people live, isn't it?
Exactly. The research uses World Bank data, pretty stark numbers. Over 56% of the global population, that's like 4.4 billion people, now live in urban areas.
Wow, 4.4 billion.
Yeah, and relying solely on food trucked in from far away. That puts, well, immense pressure on everything: roads, energy, supply chains.
You can see how that creates real challenges for food security, especially, I imagine, in developing countries.
For sure. It's a critical point. The current system is strained.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to really understand all the benefits, beyond just having food, of bringing farming back into the city. And crucially, what does the survey data tell us people actually want to grow?
Right, and we should probably start with those benefits, because it's not just a nice little hobby, this urban cultivation thing. It does a lot.
So why would someone, say, in a packed apartment building, even bother? Limited space, maybe limited sun.
Yeah.
What's the real payoff besides, a fresher tomato?
Well, the research lays out quite a few functions. They group them into productive, social, environmental, and even educational benefits.
Okay.
Productively, it's straightforward. It helps meet food needs, makes households a bit more self-sufficient. That can be a huge deal if money's tight.
Right, taking pressure off the grocery bill. But you mentioned environmental. That sounds key for cities.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting for, like, urban planning. Think about the heat island effect, all that concrete just baking in the sun.
Yeah, cities are always hotter.
Exactly. So turning rooftops or empty lots into green spaces. It improves soil, helps manage water runoff, filters the air, and directly fights that heat island effect. It just makes the city nicer to be in.
That makes a ton of sense. Instead of black tar absorbing heat, you get green stuff, cooling things down, soaking up rain, and producing food. It's like multitasking urban space.
It's incredibly efficient when you look at it that way. And we shouldn't forget the social part either.
Right, community building.
Yeah, the sources talk about that. And the educational angle, too, think school gardens. Kids get hands-on lessons about science, about nutrition, in a way you just can't get from a book.
Okay, that all sounds great, but I have to push back a bit. Isn't this kind of gardening sometimes really hard or expensive? Rooftops, balconies, you need special setups, knowledge, and space is precious.
That's a totally valid point, and it's why looking at the different models is so important for this deep dive. Urban ag works because it's so adaptable. It's not just digging in dirt anymore. There are high-tech options, ways to use tiny spaces.
Okay, let's get into those alternatives. Starting with the techie stuff. Hydroponics sounds futuristic, but it's pretty key now, right?
Definitely. Hydroponics is basically just growing plants without soil. You use water that's full of nutrients. The research highlights three main types, showing how flexible it is.
Give us the breakdown.
Okay, first is NFT nutrient film technique. Picture plants kind of sitting over a shallow, moving stream of water.
Like a little water slide for roots.
Yeah, something like that. The water flows past the roots, delivers nutrients, then gets recirculated. Super water efficient.
Okay, minimal waste, lots of control. What about the simpler end? The really accessible model?
That'd likely be the floating root system. SRF is the abbreviation used in some material. This is your low-cost entry point. You can grow stuff in simple boxes, plastic or wood, and the roots just hang down into the nutrient solution.
Right.
Really good for community projects, because the parts are cheap and easy to find.
So NFT is the water slide. SRF is like a little raft for the roots. Is there something in between?
Yeah, that's in substrate and substrato. This is for people who maybe miss the feel of soil but still want some hydroponic efficiency. You use an organic medium, like compost or peat moss.
Oh, okay.
The substrate holds the plant up, acts like a sponge for moisture, and can even release some nutrients slowly. It kind of bridges traditional gardening and pure hydro.
So we got the methods.
Mhm.
Now, where do you put these things? I love the idea of using ignored space, especially like up high.
Using space smartly is crucial. Rooftop growing is the big one. Putting gardens, even small greenhouses, on top of homes, offices, factories. It's changing city skylines.
Yeah.
The research points to Brooklyn Grange Farm in New York as a prime example. Shows you can do large-scale farming way up high.
But what about most of us? Maybe just a balcony or even just a window.
That's where domestic gardens come in. Patios, balconies, terraces, even indoors. And then you have kitchen gardens. These are specifically for inside, growing things like herbs, spices, maybe small aromatics, really making the most of tiny indoor spots.
Okay, we've hit the tech and the space. But the sources also mention the social side, the history behind some community gardens. It's not always just about growing vegetables, is it?
Not at all. There's often a real social, even political dimension. The history mentioned, especially in places like Berlin, comes straight out of activism.
Really? How so?
Well, think 1980s protest movements, the Occupy or squatter movements, environmental groups. They were fighting to protect urban green spaces from being developed. Community gardens grew out of that struggle.
Wow. So it's about self-management, taking back abandoned land, building community strength, not just food.
Exactly, that collective ownership, that reclaiming of space, it builds resilience into the local system. It's vital.
Resilience. Good word. So the tech gives us the how, but maybe the social models give us the why, the community glue that makes it last.
Well put. Yeah.
Okay, now for the big question, the tension in all this.
Yeah.
We have these cool, flexible ways to grow food. Are people actually interested in doing it? This is where the survey data gets really interesting, right? N387 adults in urban and near urban areas.
The interest is just staggering.
Yeah.
It blows away the idea that this is just a niche thing. Get this, 95% of the people surveyed are interested in growing their own food at home.
95%.
And then when you ask if they want to learn how to do it, it jumps to 98%. Almost everyone wants in.
Hold on. 98% interest in learning. That seems huge. If nearly everyone wants to do it, why aren't our cities already covered in little gardens? There must be a mismatch with what people actually know.
Oh, it's a massive mismatch,
Yeah.
a huge knowledge gap. This is maybe the most important finding. 76.7%, let's call it over 3/4, said they do not have the info they need to even start a home garden.
Wow. More than 75% feel completely lost at the starting line. That points to a serious breakdown somewhere, doesn't it? In education or access to resources. People are eager, motivated, but blocked by a lack of basic how-to.
And it gets more specific. 75% don't know enough about seeds, which ones to use, how to get them started, and 2/3, 66%, don't even know what plants will actually grow well in their specific area.
So the knowledge gap is fundamental, not just fancy techniques, but the absolute basics.
Right, foundational stuff.
Okay, so they're keen to learn, but they're missing the info. How do they want to learn? I bet it's not by reading dense manuals.
You bet right. The preference is strongly for practical visual learning. Top choices. Explanation in person, 226 people picked that. And video audios, 220 people.
Okay, hands-on or visual?
Way ahead of text-written instructions, which only 43 people chose. They want to see it, hear it, maybe do it with someone guiding them, not just read about it.
Makes sense. So if we could somehow bridge that huge 77% knowledge gap, what are people dreaming of growing? What's on the urban farmer wish list?
The menu is pretty clear and, yeah, pretty delicious sounding. For veggies, the #1 pick by a long shot is tomato, 89%.
Can't beat a homegrown tomato.
Apparently not. After that, green chili at 68% and onion at 62%.
The base for so many meals right there. Tomato, chili, onion. What about fruits?
Also very popular, lemon topped the list at 62%, then watermelon at 57%, and orange at 56%.
Again, not obscure stuff. These are staples, things you buy regularly, things that can cost a fair bit.
And that leads right into the motivation, the economics. Why do they want to grow this stuff?
Yeah, is it to sell or just to eat?
It's overwhelmingly about eating it themselves. Autoconsumption. 60% said the main reason was food necessity or autoconsumption. Another 38% said both autoconsumption and maybe selling some.
Okay.
But only a tiny fraction, just 2%, said their only reason was economic necessity, meaning just selling it.
Yeah.
So primarily it's about feeding the family, household, food security. That's powerful.
And you mentioned the cost of produce. There's a real financial nudge there too, right?
Definitely. The survey found that 36%, over a third, spend more than $30 a month just on fresh produce.
$30 might not sound like a fortune to everyone, but if you're on a tight budget.
Exactly. If you can grow even some of that yourself, that $30 plus stays in your pocket. It can go to rent, utilities, other essentials. So home gardening shifts from being a nice idea to a practical economic strategy.
Okay, let's pull this together. We've got massive near universal interest, strong drivers like food security and saving money, but then this huge crippling knowledge gap, almost 80% feeling unequipped.
Right. And the conclusion from the source material really emphasizes that communities want to contribute to their own food security and make their local systems more sustainable. The
Mm.
desire, the willingness, it's already there.
But they can't do it alone.
That's the key. They need support. The willingness is high, but it needs external help to get going.
So the next logical step is policy, resources, actually funding this interest.
Precisely. The research really calls for putting policies and programs in place, allocating resources, both money and technical know-how, to help communities, maybe even small entrepreneurs, get these urban ag projects off the ground.
Right.
Without that support structure, especially training to close that 77% knowledge gap with practical skills, this huge potential might just fizzle out.
So this deep dive really shows, I think, that urban agriculture isn't some fringe hobby anymore. It's a vital strategy. High demand, high potential impact for, well, more than half the people on Earth.
Yeah.
And the main roadblock isn't lack of space, surprisingly, or even lack of desire. It's just getting people the right information and the basic tools.
What really strikes me is just how clear people are about what they want and why. They feel the economic pressure. They know what staples they need. They just need the how-to.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Think about it. 60% mainly want to grow for themselves. Over a third are spending decent money on produce already. What if cities started, say, mandating basic education on hydroponics or rooftop gardening in all new housing? Or schools?
Imagine that. What would a city actually look and feel like if, say, 70% of the people living there were growing their number one desired crop, the tomato, right at home, on balconies, rooftops, windowsills? It wouldn't just change the food system. It would visually, physically transform our cities almost overnight.
Definitely something to think about next time you're walking around your own city. Thanks for walking us through all this.
My pleasure. It's important stuff.